The smell of fall and heaven in the air. This year's Halloween season. You know who you are. Let's lift the veil a bit and discuss some of the hottest haunts that will be waiting for you and your loved ones this spooky season. Please welcome to the stage the owner of Santa Ana Haunt from Santa Ana, Jesus Chewie Garcia. From Rancho Cucamonga, Mark Straite. The general manager of All Saints Lunatic Asylum in Apple Valley, Stephanie MacArthur. Owner of Haunted Ground in Granada Hills and longtime member of Cal Haunts, who has helped create the entryway to the Hall of Shadows every year since 2017, Dmitry Slovatsky. Shadows to come from out of state, from Denver, Colorado, Sean Herman. Your host for this presentation, from Parks and Cons, Sean Marshall.
All right, thank you all for being here. So to start out real quick, our host, our moderator, was supposed to be a request. I know many of you know or experience having come by your haunt as TPA or part of Midsummer Scream. He's unable to be with us today. He had a medical emergency, so it's been killing him not to be here. As tough as the medical part has been, it's really been killing him not to be able to be here. So we talked a lot in preparing for this. I am going to be experiencing the slideshow with you for the first time myself as well, so I'm excited to see this, but it's all coming together in the hours leading up to this because of the medical emergency. But excited to be here. If you're not familiar with Carmel, my wife is here. We run Parks and Cons. We cover lots of theme parks, lots of conventions, lots of Halloween stuff. We visit over 100 different Halloween stops every year. Usually about 3/4 of them are home haunts. We do a lot of driving. Our September and October is just kind of constantly on the freeway driving out to stuff. So excited to be here with this group and hear all about their stuff and see what they've given us here and what Rick has for us here as well. So with that, we are going to go ahead and get started looking at some of these things. So we're starting pictures are up there as well for yourself. We were talking about the pictures. A lot of days, some of them sent in more pictures. And they're like, well, we'll see which ones made the final deck here all together though as well. But Santa Ana Haunt, tell us a little bit about like where you got started and kind of some of the history of Santa Ana Haunt, where you guys are at now.
Yeah, so I got started at the empty grade about, 12, 13 years. I mean, I don't like to count anymore. But yeah, I got started with Michael Tallarico out there. He moved out to Denver, Colorado. Funny story, you went over to visit him, right? Let's tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, so apparently someone that he knows, I went to visit his haunt in Longmont, Colorado, is where I'm from. And apparently they just leased the building, and I drove an hour to see a door closed in my face. But yeah, had no idea that we knew the same person.
So anyway, it's a funny side story. So I got started there with them. When he moved to Colorado, I went over to, Ghost Town. So I went over to Ghost Town for 2-3 years. Then I went over to Boomers to help them out for a couple of years. Right after that, when the pandemic happened, all my crew from Boomers wanted to go home, and we wanted to do something for the Halloween season. So we did a small little display up in the front of my dad's yard because I couldn't do it in my apartment. Yeah, I tried. Anyways, we got started with that. Bunch of people. I think for home hunters, you can probably vouch for it. 2020 was a big season for us, for displays, all of that. Since the big theme parks were closed, a lot of people were like, oh, let's go check out the home haunts, so we're not following the rules. But yeah, we did that. So next year, people, I think 3 months before October, they were asking, like, hey, are you doing it again? I'm like, yeah, I guess I can. And so yeah, I just kept going and getting bigger and bigger every year.
We visited Santa Ana Haunt, and it was after you had like a huge rain, and you were having trouble like getting it started, and your whole team like entertained this street. The street was like filled with people as you guys are like frantically working to get this haunt running, and we were like mesmerized by like still walkers, and the fog is floating in the streets, and it was like, but it was just so cool because it was really, really stressful because you guys were trying to get, it was like, we still talk about like how fun that was. They had the beautiful, which we were showing up on the screen there, the backdrop and the facade and everything. It was just totally entertaining. What's that?
Right, that was fun.
Oh.
It was a bonfire.
Is this one as well?
Yes, that's you.
Yeah.
So that's actually our build for this year.
Okay.
So like I said, I burned that facade, basically for me not to be lazy, you know, like, okay, now I have to do something new. I think there's a couple parts that we left the crossroad, we can't burn that, but, this year I decided to make something new, and actually in the crowd, right here is Chris. Funny story, I met at Midsummer last year, and he's like, hey dude, how much did you bring some of this stuff to my wedding? I'm like, you know, throw my really low number. He's like, dude, no, we'll figure it out. Anyways, we did their wedding, and then David's like, hey, they invite me to come play. Like, I want to build, I've done stuff before. And so I showed him a photo of my sketch of this and 2 ideas. Long story short, now he helped me build this whole thing.
It's fantastic.
I think he's in that photo. And there's the sketch.
There we go.
So yeah, the right-hand side, you have the sketch that we had. On the left-hand side is what we actually built, which looks pretty close to what we wanted.
And if anybody's not familiar, they are on display right here. Some of their actors work there in the Hall of Shadows. We got to go through this morning. It was fantastic. It's super fun. Definitely check them out. Let's go ahead and go straight to Hale now. We have half the team for Straight to Hale here.
Yeah,
So
I'm Mark Straite, so that's why the name is misspelled, because that's my last name. So I'm Mark Straite, and Ron Hale is, there he is. We can't see him in the light, so there he is. Ron Hale, we make a good team because, well, we met, we were both scoutmasters for Boy Scouts. And we found out that he's an artist that loves Halloween, so he can sculpt and paint really well. And he found out that I love Halloween and I do electronics and pneumatics and projection and color creation. So it was a good match made in heaven, and I made a few props for him, and he finally had hit where I get 10. So we started building a home, and it became more and more popular. It garnered the attention of Winchester Mystery House, and then we started building a few props for them. And then we started doing their entire hunt, and so we've done a few more hunts for other people now. So it's turned into quite a business. We just got a great, huge shop in Upland, California, and so we have the room to build now, which has been heaven. And yeah, we're doing Winchester again this year.
Rick had noted that you're the first Hall of Shadows member to be, now working with something like Winchester, one of these, not that it's not 2 years, but it's a big professional thing. Can you talk a little bit about like kind of how did that happen? How did it go from, because it's not like we even live up there or anything like that, like you're down here and.
Okay, well, that might be a mundane answer, but I'll give it to you anyway. A Cliff Notes version is, my day job is I own a souvenir photo company for the theme parks. We do roller coaster photos for theme parks. So my photo system was in Winchester, so I already knew it. And then, in fact, the client who does the photo system for Winchester that connected these dots is he's in the back, Raymond Ray, and he ran the photos of Winchester, and he's the one that's told them, hey, Mark also does props now, and so that's how I got my foot in the door with that.
And in balancing the time, like how do you guys do that? How do you decide where, because you still had, we went through your home hunt last year, and we would never have known that you were also doing this whole other major project on the side.
That's actually easy because they need us to install it early because their season is longer because they're professionals. So we can get to install that and then run home and put ours together. Plus, we always work on, whenever we do a prop for them, we'll do a prop for us. And that way we can build our inventory. And Midsummer is also an easy way for us to do this because we can build props for here that we use in our own home. So that's how we do it.
We've been scrolling through some photos.
I haven't been looking at them, so is there anything interesting I should be commenting?
Lots of interesting, that's good.
That's just a room in our haunt. Yeah, we usually do an Old West theme, because when we were started, we didn't have any money for it, so we were tearing apart pallet wood. It's probably the same story as all of you. Just putting together as much as we can to not piss our wives off with spending too much money. And so yeah, we started with very easy ups in pallet wood, but it got bigger and bigger, obviously, and now it's pretty elaborate. We fill every space in the front yard and the garage, and we get thousands of people every year now. The lines go down the block, and the community really likes it. We like that too. Because it's easy to become a company and then turn your back on the community that got you there, but we don't do that. We love to go crazy with the ponds too. So.
Fantastic. And as everybody will know, if you're curious about their upcoming work for all of these projects, it's got their Instagram handle there as well, ways easy to follow along with them as we go. Should know we will have time for Q&A as we get to the end, but we'll save that until we go through all of our slides here to take a look at everything. So up next, All Saints Lunatics.
Hello. So we started off as not just a home haunt, it was actually a haunt for Halloween parties. The owners would put on smaller haunts for the people that would come for their Halloween parties. And one day the neighbors came knocking on the door asking if they could go to the haunt. And then we realized maybe we should start expanding and opening up. So we have our roots in home haunts because it just grew and grew by word of mouth until it got to the point to where they're just like, you need to go into a business setting, you have too many people coming to a house area. So unlike everybody else, we don't tear down our haunts anymore. We have it set up year round, and we're in a little strip mall. I don't know, oh, that's probably the video. I would assume is what's supposed to play there.
Yeah, go ahead and finish that with what
So we've grown from, we were at almost 10,000 square foot, I believe, or a little bit bigger than that, in the backyard with sheds and everything is the biggest that we got. And then we had to shrink back down going into the business setting. And now that's where we're at, is we're constantly building and trying to make it better and better experience for everybody, and learn from all the other haunters, because this is a big community. We all need to stay together and everything. So we also have our roots that we come from and understand where everything goes.
you were saying, as we were getting ready to come, you're just like, the family's a big part of the haunt, and just, can you maybe talk about that, or just kind of how you build your team?
So, our team, we've went through a lot of haunters that have come and gone, and we just end up building a family of people that just fit in together well and are able to handle the hours and everything, and people, like, we get thousands of people that come to our own haunt as well, and it's very tiring and everything, so people that can withstand everything and that can stick together and help boost each other, because when one's getting tired, another one is sitting there trying to prep them up and everything, and we all take care of one another. So like, even if somebody doesn't have water, somebody else has like 2 water bottles and gives them out and everything. We strive to just like reach out with the community and make it a community affair too. We do a lot of fundraisers at different events with different nonprofits and everything to make sure that we show that we still appreciate the community that we are in and that we came from, and that we're able to help bring more people up here to even help the other home haunts in our area. So the more that we're able to get the word out, the more that other home haunts in our area are able to build themselves and receive the same amount of people going through as we are.
For anybody in the audience that's maybe just checking this, not familiar with home haunts, I know there was a time for probably all of us that were like, well, what is that? I mean, I know that's the thing for Carmel and I that is always the thing we love most. And in 2020, it just shines brighter. It's just like, there's nobody nicer than the home haunters, or just haunters in general, but the home haunters, like nobody. Everything is like a community service project. Everything is trying to make me smile today. I know something when we first started covering them, I think we felt, and I think a lot of people that aren't familiar, it's like, you know, they want to get 1,000 people in line and they want to have YouTube videos. It's like, for the most part, no. They just want like the kid on the street to smile. Like they just want to do that. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So it's always awesome to hear you guys talk about that. And I know for you, family, but also like an extended family, that the people that become family.
Yeah, the community plays a big part in any home haunts and any haunts anywhere. That you want to make sure, it doesn't matter if you get a scream, it doesn't matter if they cry, it doesn't matter if they laugh. everybody's gonna react differently, but as long as they're having fun at the end, that's what makes it all worthwhile. Seeing the little kids going through that are not terrified compared to their parents who are crying and not wanting to come back ever. But they all have fun. They all want to be able to do something as a community. And also, we live in the high desert. I don't know how many people know about the high desert, but it's big, but it's not as big as coming down to like LA or anything like that. We're small cities up there, small towns. So it's also giving something for like teenagers to do, so they're not just running amok. So we have multiple haunts, so they can come and do something and have something fun to do and enjoy themselves without having to worry about driving down the hill or anything. We make sure to reach out to the community and that they know that this is what's going on and we can help give them something to do and let the kids enjoy everything too, as well as the adults.
That's awesome. Do you want to introduce this clip of what we're about to see?
I have no idea.
All right. That's all. So I was told that if I said,
so we're gonna be surprised together.
Rick said if I said, please play the clip would play. Thank you for playing that.
As you guys can see, it doesn't look that much from the outside, and that's one of the biggest things that I think that people, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to come down
We haven't.
and visit us. It's more than welcome to come and see us. You can see it doesn't look like there's much on the outside, and that's what a lot of people that have come to visit, like the different podcasters, the YouTubers and everything, once they get inside, they don't realize how big it is, because it doesn't look very big from the front. And as you can see, there was different rooms, there are different actors and everything like that. We strive to take and make sure that we are fitting our theme as close as possible to the storyline that was written for the asylum. A lot of our costumes, almost the majority of our costumes are, we try to get authentic or as close to authentic. They're made personally for us. And we try to just build our sets as close as possible to what a decrepit old asylum would look like. So, and you can see like, we also have our walls, yes, we do the different haunts throughout the year. So Valentine's and I think Easter and Christmas is up there. So we try to do different haunts throughout the year since we're in a building and it gives us something else to do.
Does anybody else here do other seasonal haunts outside? Yeah, I mean, obviously an advantage of being able to keep that location.
Yeah, and the other thing was we also try to do, I know Mark was talking about escape rooms. Before COVID, we were also having escape rooms that was built as part of our haunt in between. So that way we could have something going on in between all the different haunts that we have too. So it's an expendable, not expendable, but it's like something that you can build off of. Like even if you have a haunt that can stay up, you can still build it into many different things. You can still use it for many different things to your advantage.
We've got the next slide up there.
The pictures are a surprise to me too, so I don't know exactly what pictures we're given, sorry. And we have many people working for us. The little girl that was on the ball, she actually went through acrobat school. It doesn't matter if you have disabilities or not, you're able to come and work with us. We can push wheelchairs through everything. We're completely open enough that it's all ADA compliant, so you can push anything through any of our halls and everything, and everybody can enjoy it. Oh, there's Wicker Manor.
There we go, okay. Thank you for all that.
No problem.
You got skipped?
Dimitri got skipped, we didn't know.
Did we switch places?
All right, Wicker Manor. So before, I mean, you'll talk, but to note, you've traveled the furthest to ever come to the Hall of Shadows, is my understanding, 1,000 miles.
Yes. Don't do it. No, it's great. No, yeah. So we're a home haunt in Denver, Colorado. Tiny home haunt. I think you can do the math, but it's about 18 foot by 20 foot square in a 2-car garage, which I think is around 360 square feet, give or take, minus a refrigerator and a tool chest. But somewhere around the 300 to 360 square feet. We started as a yard display about 8 years ago. Being that we're from Colorado, we were putting all this time into a yard display, and then literally it would just start snowing, and I'd be out there like a total madman, covering all my crops and like trying to save them from the snow, which is just awful. So didn't enjoy doing that, and right around that time, that's much better. Right around that time, actually it's people from California, so big shout out to the California haunt scene, Hollywood Haunter, Josh Quillen, Epic Home Haunts, all those guys. It was totally you guys who made me inspired to do an actual walkthrough. So without everybody here in California, I would just be crying with all my stuff got snowed on everywhere. So truly, this is literally your guys' making. This isn't anything that I've actually done. So we, what has it been, like maybe 6 years since we've been in our garage. And we build it in a way so we can just press the garage door and it close within about 1/4 of an inch from the first wall panel there. And I think, what we really strive to do, we're much more all ages, family friendly sort of thing. So I don't think that little kids are too scared of scary, spooky stuff. But I also, as an adult, don't love gore and horror and stuff like that. So I've always much preferred the idea of Disney style effects where anybody of all ages can come through. So that's what we've always strived to do. There's some stuff that pushes that a little bit, but I would always much rather focus on detail and focus really in on storyline and plot and stuff like that, and just give something that kids can actually come through and talk about later. So that's one thing that I feel like we've always tried to do. I do love like gory horror movies, but just the idea that like a 6-year-old can come through and just go to school the next day and be super hyped, that makes me more excited than scaring some 16-year-old who's gonna forget it the next day. So yeah,
I was just gonna ask, and so here we are. What was the decision to come out and make the journey, and then what, besides heroin, what else can we say about the journey out here?
Yeah, so it took, we have a family of 4, so it's my 8 and 10-year-old and my wife, and then me. They took the car, which could have been a more stressful ride. I don't know, I wasn't there. But I took the U-Haul, which is a 26-foot U-Haul, across it. It took me 3 full days. We decided not to go over the mountains, mainly just because the brakes on that thing are dicey at best. So we decided to go like through Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and so it took 3 full days to get here. And every single pothole I hit, I just like lost a piece of my soul, just because everything was shaking in there. And it's actually a miracle that anything in there is working, to be completely honest. So yeah, it was pretty rough, but we got through it. And once we go back, we're actually going to probably start setting up. This will be actually, you guys are the first to hear this in the entire world, but this will be our last time in the garage because we're under contract in a spot in downtown Denver to have this up here.
Coming from Colorado, what is the haunt scene like there? Because one of the things is we were talking, like, I know for myself, one of the greatest stresses of the haunt seasons, we want to see everything. And here it's so impossible. We have like, it's an embarrassment of riches because there are so many incredible haunts out here all over the place. What is kind of the environment that you're in for your Halloween fan?
Yeah, we're on an island. Yeah, there's a couple really cool yard displays. I would say Christmas is much more prevalent, mainly probably because of the weather. It makes more sense. And also, too, like the weather is a huge deterrent for people to get into Halloween type stuff because if it's not wind or rain, it's snow. And so if you get into this, you know, it's fine. Depot skeleton, right, gets snowed on. It's not a huge deal. But if you have like a pneumatic thing that you spend all this time and money building, it's just not worth the investment because it's going to get totally ruined. But yeah, so I would say we're the only home haunt walkthrough that I can think of. I would love it if someone could tell me another one in Colorado I could go to. So I think we're literally alone out there. There are a few yard displays that are pretty awesome. So I don't want to just say it's like a boring state, but there's definitely some inspiration out there. I think that some of the people from Pontus hang out are also in Colorado. I've seen their stuff.
Have you been able to find people to help you with the haunt, or do you have a team at all, or is the team of the family?
Yeah, no, I would say it's just me and my wife. Yeah. With the majority of that just being me slaving away.
Well, it's beautiful. Again, in the Hall of Shadows here, an example of it. You can visit it today. This panel, I'm sure, will have a huge line because it's super popular and everybody's loving it. We went through it twice this morning and had a really good time with it. It's a blast.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the haunted ground. Now, this is one we have not visited, and last year somebody had posted, like, we did not, like, Carmel scours the internet for them, and just, we missed the social media or something, and we're like, I think it was like the 30th, or October 30th or something, we're like, oh my gosh, we gotta go visit this thing, we're already gonna, I don't know, be in Marietta, or who knows, and we're like, we gotta find this next year, so, can you tell us a little bit about the haunted grounds?
So, something like display about like 10 years ago, and sorry for my English, okay. So, basically, just display only, and because idea was I wanna, my son is 25 now, so like years ago when you have a kid, I wanna see places. So usually we go to different places, you want to see like different yard displays, and like we're getting like idea. And I came from Ukraine, and it's not Halloween. We don't have Halloween. So I don't know European countries. It's like doesn't exist. And when I came here, and I love to build stuff, like most of you guys. I love to create stuff, build stuff, and all of a sudden like Halloween. What is Halloween? And my son born here, and we just started to see different houses, different displays. I thought, oh, maybe I can do something. So my first display, I remember, like went to a store, Halloween store, one of those, and got spent like probably $500, got props, right? I did it. Next year, nothing works. Story of the life, right? So like, okay, what can I do? And it was no Facebook yet, and like some Yahoo groups, oh, we can build stuff. So I started building stuff, and like some how to create stuff, how to do stuff. So electronics, and like a team of one, it's only me. And idea just display only all the time because it's my son growing up, we want to see places, and like and so I have to build something completely automated, so completely be by itself, and we can see it as my family can travel to different places. That can be run by itself. So I started like going from one projector to pneumatics, and the last year it was even before it was like my show was about 5 projectors, like lots of animatronics. The show was running by itself, and last year I decided to change it to shooting gallery. The reason I did it because my display was cool, everything was cool. It was getting complicated, and what I see is people see it, but most adult people can see it. Kids, it's just like 5-second attention. Cool, let's go to the next house. No, they just zero. Like So how can I stop the kids? How to be part of the display? So I was like, oh, let's do. I went to Disneyland. Went to the shooting gallery. Amazing works. I have to read all the rules about all this building in California, and I have to read all the rules, all fine print, how I can run that stuff without getting in trouble. And even like even buying those pistols is a joke because they don't exist right now. It's only eBay, and people treating them like it's collectible items because they're from the Disney Pirates of the Caribbean ride like 15 years ago. They don't sell them anymore. So you want to buy one of those pistols, it costs you like 50, 60 bucks. So, and so I built, so that was, it was in 6 months basically I built, started building props, building new animatronics, building audio, everything, and with help of my guys and help of my members, Hans, and with lots of idea comes from our experience. And using my old, I think I can do shooting gallery, and also I can use my old props, be like a target. So okay, let's just put the triggers, put the controllers, and just make them kind of like a test run, see how it's gonna be. So at the end of the day, I end up with like a 35 targets and 4 pistols. And you can say like other words in California, so it's kind of strange. And even when we're doing recording for the audio, we have to change some wording, how you can say it. That's the way it is. And that's a video basically. It's my display, it's a short version, how it was built and how it was run. So we can play it.
The short video, The Journey to America for Halloween, is like the best American dream story I've heard in like a long time. You and your son coming here with like a jack-o'-lantern in your hand, the violence here. That's such a good, I love that. That is awesome. If you don't mind playing the video.
Hey, we have people. Wake up.
Yeah, stop calling Birdie. Otherwise it will be like my Birdie. The name's Raven Maniac. And I can see all these nice people. But do they have any candy or snacks for us? That's what I want to know. 3, 2, 1, go!
lot of fun. I mean, now you're gonna have everybody lining up to get in line for this year's thing. On that note, for this year, are we going back to this, or is there?
Yeah, basically that was a test run, and I think how like neighborhood like it, how everything and and everybody loved it, and just everybody enjoyed it. It was fun, because I never experienced so many people before. Kind of people could see the show and the leaving. It was just a show only. And now it's a gallery. And next day, I called Diana. I felt huge traffic because people what to do? Hey, I have to build the line. So I felt this cones. That's becomes a huge deal, and people love it. So this is going to be maybe more props and just more. I was thinking more animation, more stuff, and realize that people don't really like animation. People like shooting stuff.
Now you have another role here, as well as a lot of individuals here as part of Cal Haunts and the Hall of Shadows. If you've seen Dungeons and Dragons down there, if you visited Midsummer Scream since the very beginning, all of these entry statements. Actually, on that note, if you have been with Cal Haunts to help work on the Hall of Shadows at any point of that big entry statement of Cal Haunts, could you just stand up for a second so we could all thank you?
Two old ones.
For those that have been coming to Midsummer Scream since the beginning, or even if this is, been 2 years or whatever, it's always like, what's going to be that entry to the Hall of Shadows? Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of representing Cal Haunts here as well?
Yeah, so I joined myself at Cal Haunts about 2016, about 7 years ago. And that was our display. It was not the entrance yet. We just did a display, like a test run, and then for Midsummer and for another show. And it was a Victorian house. It should be Winchester, but that's how it started. And we contacted to our group, and we decided to do entrances. So every year is different, and this part of one of the years you can see that was I think last year, right? Yeah. No, the year before that it was a Tiki Island, and it's you can see it's an airplane. Actually, it's a full size of airplane. But it's a prop, and that's our Tiki. The pictures on the right, it's from the last year. It's Midsummer Estates. It was interesting because all houses were split into different teams. It was about seven or 8 houses was built, but it been built in different places, but everything been organized by our Diana. Before, if you're not familiar with Cal Haunts and you've never heard about us, I want to play the small video clip right now. Who we are. It's a small tiny clip, but it represents our group very well. As
I am Kate, and I am part of Cal Haunts. And Cal Haunts is a group of Halloween enthusiasts that are teaching each other how to do different kinds of builds and effects for home haunting, amateur stuff, but not to say that there isn't some kind of pro that goes on as well. I didn't realize that I was a haunter until I came to the first Midsummer Screen and I saw what Cal Haunts was doing. And I looked at it and I went, I want to do this, but how? And so one of the members said, you come to a meeting, we'll teach you how. And I was like, sign me up, I'm coming. And they have been 100% so supportive, because we were losing trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood. And I thought, if I make something in my front yard that the adults want to come see, they'll bring the kids with them. And I'm happy to say that last year, we've had several hundred come, which was really nice. The neighbors enjoy it. I have very good support from my neighbors. They enjoy seeing not only the display, but especially during COVID, it brought the neighborhood together to be able to celebrate being a neighborhood. It's appreciated.
Yeah, we are Facebook page only. Originally, it was a long time ago. It was on some Yahoo. With a Yahoo, it was the design. It was organized by women, right? Yeah, they want to talk about.
Started out.
Can you say a couple words? I want to give it to Mike to the young mayor, and I'll help them. You could use my place.
Payback. Together and started, Guy knows probably more than I did, and he's longer than I am. And so it started as a women's group. Well, the women started wanting to do more technical stuff, and so they needed the men to help them with some of the technical stuff. So that's when they allowed the men to come in. And so since then, they started in 2004, so we've been around a while. I joined in 2006. Guy's been
Almost since the beginning.
yeah, since the beginning and stuff like that. So it's a great organization. We get together once a month. We do projects. Sometimes we just hang out. We build displays and stuff. But it's a great way to learn. And one of the things that we found, one thing that has come about doing the entrance to the Hall of Shadows is that we have all gotten together and built stuff. And people that didn't know how to build stuff, play with foam, do all that kind of stuff, they now know. Kate, the one that was just in the video, I remember she came one of her second times or something, and she's never carved foam. And I said, Kate, carve this, make it around so that way it's at the front end of the airplane, the nose of the airplane. And she's going, and how do I do that? I said, here, take this. So by the end of the day, she got it all around and all that. Today, she built the beholder that's in the display. And so it's one of those things that, you know, the people that know help teach the other people. So that's what's so cool about Cowpots. Okay, I'm done.
That was our last year. That was our state.
Yeah, again, that's intriguing. I know for so many of us is always like, what's it gonna be? Or if the theme's announced, what's it gonna look like? And then every single time, more amazed at like what's there, or so amazed by what's there when you actually see it. Like this year, it's okay, Dungeons and Dragons, you go in, it's like all of these features, all these interactive elements, and it makes sense when you know the individual haunts that come together to do this, because you all do such amazing creative things, but it's still like, I think so overwhelming even for those of us that go to a lot of these haunts to see it all there. So again, huge thanks to all of you that put that together every year here. Huge thanks to the haunts for all they've done for the haunt community and for Midsummer Scream. All right, we have a few minutes here for some questions. Do you have questions for our panelists? No questions? Okay, then I do have a couple of questions that I had on my, real quick, and I know because we're running low on time, Bill, but maybe if we can start here and make our way down. Just what is it, if somebody's in the audience and thinking like, maybe I want to get involved, what is it, cow haunts or their own home haunts or anything, what is one thing that's like rewarding that you're like, this is why you should do it?
For me, it's my crew, more than anybody. I think a lot of people know that I have a huge crew. And I don't know how I got there, to be honest, but that's really what keeps me doing it.
Love that.
Probably supposed to say the smiles and the yes, but I think the real thing is that we come up with these wild ass ideas and then we have to say, how do we do that? And we figure it out and we do it, and that's what feels good. That's the rush for me.
Love it.
The people you meet in the haunt family, you create no honesty.
For me, it's like it's my folks, my cousins. It's like I love you guys. You're my family.
Love that.
I would say difficulty, just, finding something that's extremely difficult, figuring out a way to hold off. Yeah.
Okay. Question for the group. if somebody's in the audience, they've never been to a home haunt before, they've never been to a professional haunt, they've been, you know, they've maybe been to Not Scary Farm, they've been to Universal, but they've never been to anything outside of like a big theme park, where would you where would you direct them? Is there a certain, besides your own like Instagram, because there are places that, I mean, we have a SoCal haunt list, I know something that we use a lot, also just, we see a lot of you guys posting about other things, it's like, oh, this is a haunted street, but any suggestions for ways to kind of find that Halloween in your neighborhood or in your local area?
I would say just drive around. Really, it's, I've done it before, I'm driving down random areas with my kids, sometimes they fall asleep, just like, oh, hey, like, get out and stuff like that. Because not everybody does it with an Instagram, trying to get famous, trying to get big, do all that stuff. There are people who legit just want to put something up, and honestly, I've seen some amazing ones. I'm like, what's your name? Like, oh, we don't have any, we just do this. And I did have recommend, you know, go on SoCal haunt list, all of that, so more people come in and you can expose yourself. But honestly, just driving around, grab ice cream and drive around.
That is one of my highlights every Halloween season is if we have time. So it's like, okay, maybe we're gonna do, you know, La Habra, and there's one haunt there, but then we're just gonna like drive the streets and we find like a giant pirate ship in somebody's lawn or something like that. So
Great to the rich neighborhoods.
Other suggestions?
I was gonna say, I know I've done it before, looking at like Halloween, you Google it, Halloween haunted houses near me or yard displays. And up in our area, there's actually a lot that pop up that shows, and it'll show you the yard display when they're open, and it'll show you all the haunted houses that are home haunts or whatever that are surrounding you, so you can plot your route as to where you want to go, or just go to one city and do all one on one day. Next day you go to the other city.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I have an idea for that. I'm a little bit different since I'm literally in it myself. The one thing our family did one year that I thought was really, really interesting was we went to a whole different state and just drove and found everything in that whole state. We spent a couple days doing it. And I thought it was really, really interesting. Not only did we meet a lot of people, but the kids had a really, really good time. And it was the most random experience ever because we had no idea what we were going to see. People had, and this was in Salt Lake City, that is where we went, which has a pretty big haunt community, we found out. And they have a group, kind of like our haunts, called Rocky Mountain Haunters, which I joined thinking that Colorado was like the Rocky Mountains. But apparently they called their mountains the Rocky Mountains too. And so I don't know why I'm still in that group, but it's really weird. But yeah, so some people have projections, some people have walkthroughs, a lot of yard displays. But it was really, really awesome just to leave your state and see something completely new. And I feel like we've tried to do that a couple times. It's been super rewarding.
Awesome, love that. So maybe in our last wrapping up here, we'll start back with Wicker Manor and work our way down this way. Just one last plug of where they can find all of your work to follow along more, because even if maybe we're far away, we still, I know a lot of haunters, us included, not being haunters, but following on, we like to just see the stuff being built and the videos put together and the photos, what they're working on. But where they can find you, and then also if there's anything else you want to plug, whether it's come to the Hall of Shadows and visit us, or we're going to open on October 15th or anything like that. So go ahead, back to you, Sean.
Yeah, really our biggest social channel is just Instagram, so you can find us on there at Wicker Manor. Everyone keeps telling us to get TikTok and all this stuff, and it's just like I have way too much other stuff to focus on, so really Instagram is the biggest place where we're actually active, and then YouTube a little bit, but other than that, yeah, we'll be open this season. I don't know the specific dates, but just for probably about a week or 2 weeks.
And then you're getting your own place?
Yeah, so we're under contract on a spot in downtown Denver. Being under contract doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get it, but it's looking that way. So yeah, that probably, we're giving ourselves probably 2 to 3 years to actually do it. It's going to be much more of a Disney style thing than just like a home haunt field, actually engaging construction companies, theme park builders, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be very, very thorough and extensive, but still very much from my creative direction. So that will likely be in 2025 as well.
Awesome, thank you. Dimitri?
I'm going away like from social media. At least I know this. I want to keep it like kind of small and like for the neighborhood only. And because sometimes we know that some stories when you get too big, it could be dangerous. So this you can shut it down easily. And so I try to stay away, but I would say if you want to find about my display or our display, just join our group. You know, we're Facebook based, and join our group, and our group is more like we don't. What's interesting about groups is we are not like a chit chat. It's more like a tech support. That's great about it. We have like over 600 members, and like if you have any questions, like I don't search Google anymore, and I don't do like I don't go on YouTube. I ask my group because somebody knows somebody or somebody knows how to make stuff. And we've done before. It can save you a ton of time and money. You should ask people. That's our community, and it's a great support. And all of my stuff, wherever I'm building, posting, we just share it in our group. So Hale Hans, Facebook.
Excellent. Hale Hans on Facebook. Thank you.
For us, it's Instagram and TikTok and our own website, allsaintslunaticasylum.com. And then on Instagram and TikTok, it's All Saints Lunatic Asylum Haunted Attraction. We did have a Facebook at one point, but we no longer have access to it, so just ignore.
Good to know, thank you.
The one that asked me for my social security.
Ron's gonna kill me for not memorizing all this, but we have an Instagram, Straite to Hale Productions, of course, that's the main outlet, but we also have our website, which I think is straitetohale.com, is that right? Okay, so we've got that, and I guess that's really it. We're gonna be open the last 2 weekends of October, Rancho Cucamonga. Of course, we've got Winchester Mystery House, Unhinged, Housewarming is the name of the event this year, and we're gonna be there too, so don't miss that. Sure.
And for us, the same thing, Instagram, just go to Santa Ana Haunt, and yeah, we post everything. Usually we run the last 2 weekends of October. There is a Friday that they're cheap though, so I'm tempted a week before, but we'll see.
Well, thank you guys so much. For us, Parks and Cons, we usually do 60 to 70 videos during the haunt season, over 30 podcasts. So if you like listening to people talk about Halloween stuff, we talk a lot about Halloween. You can find us on all the social media at Parks and Cons. So once again, thank you all so much for being part of this panel. Thank you so much for bringing Halloween.